This is a camera that was made for kids, and surprisingly, it's been a big hit even among adults as sort of a lo-fi digital screen-free shooting experience. But I think it could be even better as a camera, so I'm going to go all out and upgrade it into a totally new camera. And this is all part of my goal to learn everything I need to make my own camera by the end of this year. Inside the camera is incredibly simple, which makes it a great candidate for modding. There's this main board, which the sensor, battery, flash, shutter button, and display are plugged into. The other thing I'm paying attention to, this is the current viewfinder of the camera. It's just a tunnel optical viewfinder that allows you to frame your shot. And it works and everything, it does its purpose, but I think this could be a way cooler experience. If you've ever seen an old twin lens reflex camera and you've looked through their waist level viewfinders, you'll know that it's a special experience. It looks like a window into another world, and it makes everything look that much more magical. I'm obsessed with these things, but waist level optical viewfinders are found on very, very few digital cameras. So we're going to add one more to that list today. So the plan is to build an entirely new body for the CamSnap and add some additional features. And I'm thinking something like a traditional TLR body design where it's kind of more cute or rectangular shaped. Little kind of body. Here's my drawing skills with an optical waist level viewfinder at the top. So this is a TLR twins lens reflex camera that I'm talking about. And you'll see it has two lenses. One of them is for the viewfinder and one of them is the one you actually shoot through, and they're tied together. I'm not gonna be able to do that on this camera at this time. That actually is something I wanna do in a future build, which would be cool. But I do wanna have a little viewport here for the waist level viewfinder like this has. The other thing I really like about these boxy designs is just how you hold and use them. So you kind of hold them like this. You're looking through the waist level finder, pointing like that. Shutter button goes down here. So you kind of hold it like this and your bottom finger there is hitting a shutter button. So I'll add a little shutter button down here in the bottom that we'll build ourselves. The actual lens will go here. I am going to put a filter ring around it so we can attach filters to it, which I think will be cool. The optical viewport will go here, the lens for the waist level finder, and then up at the top, a little collapsible thing for using the waist level finder there, some strap mounts here. But to even get started, I needed to understand how to make a waist level viewfinder myself. And that took a bit of time, but I did figure it all out, and I published a video just about that topic that you can watch in detail next. I'm using the same principles I used in that video to build my mini viewfinder for compact cameras, but now this time I increased the size of the mirror and the Fresnel lens. And yes, I did learn how to pronounce Fresnel correctly. Thank you everybody from Des Moines in Arkansas for pointing that out to me. This is a little screen hood accessory made by JJC. It's a common accessory company, and it adheres to the back of the screen of a camera like this. But I'm super excited about this because in our use case, I think we can just put it on top of the waist level finder on the camera that I design, and then it'll pop up just like that. Okay, this is my first prototype print just to get my ideas from paper to reality in front of me so I can learn some things. I already put the mirror in there like you can see before I started recording, so that slipped in there. And then as far as this goes, I would put the lens right here. That actually just rests right in there. Oh, so perfectly. And then I need to develop a different mask, but it would go right here. Something like that. This would adhere to the top. If I get those measurements right, I'll flip that around. Now the body ended up being much larger than I wanted. I wanted it a little bit smaller than this, although I think it is cute. The reason I had to do that is because working around the CamSnap electronics, I have to get this board to fit in there like this, but not knowing and not being able to replace the ribbon cable that's on the sensor to a longer one, it's kind of off center, and that makes sense because it's off center on the CamSnap's original design. So to get the camera to be in the center like I need for this design, I have to shift the whole board over like this. So I had to make extra room. The sensor and lens module are attached in the front, and because the cable is integrated into the module, there's not a simple way to change the cable length here. So that's going to limit where I can put this board in my new design. However, some of these other cables for the shutter button and the shot counter display are easily replaceable. I just looked up the cable type and bought these cheap, longer replacements, which will give me way more flexibility in the shape of my camera body, because now I can put them anywhere in the design. The switch for the flash, I haven't decided if that's going to go on the side of the camera maybe, or the back. And then your shot counter, same thing, I haven't really decided. This is the latest prototype. I also did one in between, a version 2 that was better but had some problems, but also included a spot for the flash, a spot for a filter ring, which you'll see in a minute, and then also some screw holes and some preliminary locations for things. This is the latest version I'm hoping this might actually work. So the little flash module, which is really just like 2 small LEDs, can go in first and we'll plug it in later. As I'm putting it together, I'm making little notes of things to fix if I ever get around to it. The flash module isn't quite as flush with the front as I thought it was, so we'll do that. So there's the flash in there. So it looks like from the front for the shutter button. Goes right in here. Also, kind of the cool part about these buttons is that because I print them separately, you can put them different colors, which I think could be cool to have a two-tone effect. I actually don't think these two colors will go super well together, but in the future, I could do different colors. Okay. It's funny, when I do camera reviews, I complain about shutter buttons. That's not the best feeling shutter button. I made it worse than it was, but it works. Okay, and next I'm going to put in the lens and sensor module first. Screw that in. Here it is. Poking through. Little camera. Ooh, huge body for what is otherwise a very little amount of camera. Okay, so that's basically the electronic assembly minus the back, which is still printing right now. I spent very little time and attention to the bottom and completely messed up the measurements. So for the SD card slot and the USB-C charging, it's gonna work, but it just looks ugly. And as far as the waist level viewfinder, I'm gonna go ahead and put the lens in and put down some glue and just let that dry overnight. Up here, I put a little indent for a, I think 37 millimeter. Yeah, 37 millimeter step-up ring. That just happened to be the one I had. So it's a 37 to 49 millimeter. I have a lot of 49 millimeter filters. Also, that's a good size for me because it doesn't block the lens up here or come too far down. So that's what it's kind of going to look like on the front. This is the shot counter that displays here on the back. Mostly got that okay. There's some improvements I could do there, but that works. And then this is the little switch for the on-off of the flash. And see, these extra long cables are so nice because then you got room to work. I am going to ignore the sound thing. I actually don't like the sound. So this is pretty simple. From the top, you can drop in a mirror. There we go. This Fresnel lens goes on the top and magnifies that quite a bit. You can see that. And then this is going to go here. And then on top of that will be here. I totally think this is going to work. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Okay, I got a couple things to glue, and then I'm also going to glue the lens center on. So here's the working prototype, the Snappy Flex, as it was dubbed on Threads, which I like that name. And it's actually awesome how well this whole thing worked out. The pop-up hood is quick and easy to deploy. The viewfinder looks beautiful. It's big and bright. You would have to see it in person to truly appreciate it. The square cube design is actually a really fun, nice to hold kind of experience here, just putting your finger down here like you would with a TLR. And I achieved what I set out for, which was changing the shooting experience. It's totally different holding the camera like this down at your waist and pressing the little shutter button down here like a TLR camera. It's really fun. There's still a lot to be desired stylistically, of course. It's kind of an ugly camera. I think if I just added some little fake plastic bits to the front here as a little facade to make it look better, it would look pretty cool. If I was making this totally from scratch and had control over all the electronics myself, I would make some different decisions. And that's going to be my next part of the project. My next camera I'm going to build will be totally from scratch. I'm going to control the electronics myself. I'm super excited about it. I already have a little bit of a prototype down over there, but I won't show you that yet. So subscribe if you haven't already to follow this journey of mine. By the end of the year, having actually a nice camera I can make and open source and release to all of you to make as well. So that's the goal, at least. Until next time, as always, happy snapping.